Hello and welcome to another edition of Active Living. Today we're very fortunate to have Lynn Gustafson here. Lynn is with NOTA, or the North Oakland Transportation Authority.
That's right.
And we welcome her to our show. Today we're going to discuss all of the opportunities that we have at NOTA. And when I'm talking about opportunities, I'm talking about how this service can be used in Lake Orion and other communities, surrounding communities. Welcome to our show, Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're very welcome. Can you tell us about NOTA? Tell us about what it is, first of all.
Yeah, NOTA.
A lot of people in our community really aren't familiar with NOTA, and hopefully through the show we'll help them make them a little more familiar.
I think that's really important. Yes, NOTA is, I think, a real gem in your community, so it's good to get that information out. It's a transportation service for the seniors, disabled, and low-income residents of Orion, Oxford, and Addison townships. And we are a door-to-door transportation service on a demand response basis, and that means that you need to apply ahead of time, and then we and reserve your rides,
right.
And we'll go from door to door to take you at a very low cost of $1 or $2 a ride.
Wow. Now, what's a senior?
Senior is 60 or over.
60 or over.
Yes.
Because I know when I turned 50, I started getting this ARP stuff in the mail.
Right.
And I was kind of like getting a little, hey man, I'm not a senior yet.
Exactly.
But at 60, you actually can use the service.
That's when you can. Yes.
Okay. So are there any like financial requirements? Do you have to meet a certain income level?
No.
Or can you just apply and anybody can use the service?
In order to be eligible, you have to be a resident of Orion, Oxford, or Addison. That's the first step.
Okay.
And the second step is either you have to be 60 or over, disabled, some kind of disability. It could be a temporary disability, it can be a permanent disability. So if you're 20 years old and you broke your leg,
okay.
we can take you to work. Or you can be low income. So if you don't meet a senior or disabled, then you would have to meet the low income requirements,
okay.
which is based on the federal guidelines of HUD, which changes annually and based on the number of people that you have in your household. So
okay.
And that's all on our website, which
okay.
is ridenota.org is our website, and that information is on there. If you have a question on what that income level is for your family size, you can find it there on the website.
Now you have I assume you have a whole staff of people that work for you, and you have drivers that drive all these vehicles.
We do.
How many vehicles do you have?
We started back in 2001 with 3 vehicles, and now we've grown to 21.
Wow,
so
21 vehicles.
We have 21 vehicles, and we have 29 part-time drivers, and majority of our drivers are retirees, and
okay.
so they're most of ours are eligible for NOTA themselves, and so but they want to give back, and they our drivers are, I think, a real special group of people because they really care. They care
right.
about the people, they care about the service, and they go over and beyond what transportation is. It's not simply just transportation. It's they really get to know the people on a personal level. They help them with their groceries. They get out of their vehicle every time to open up the door. They help them with their wheelchairs. So our drivers are a great group. But there's 29 drivers that we have, and then we have 3 dispatchers, which are also amazing people. They have so much patience.
Yeah.
In juggling all the things that they have to juggle.
So if someone is disabled, and they need some help to get in the bus, get in and out of the bus, or in and out of their home, I assume the drivers will give them some assistance. Is that correct?
They certainly will. They will help you from a door to door, which means they'll get out of their vehicle and go to the door of their home. They can't go through the door, but they
right.
can help them from their door, help them get into the vehicle, and then when they drop them off at, let's say, the doctor's office, they will get out and actually make sure that they get to the door of their destination.
So that's a lot different than a regular bus service.
It certainly
where
is.
You go out and stand on the corner, and it's cold, and it's raining, and these guys would actually go to the door,
exactly.
assist to get you. I was having lunch today with a couple of friends, and one of the friends happens to be on the board of directors with Fish.
Okay.
And we started the conversation. I said, I'm going to have Lynn in today, and we're going to. He says, he said we have these people that come to Fish every week to do their grocery shopping, and it's always done with the NOTA bus.
We do, and that can be pretty cumbersome because I think you can get 60 pounds of food per person, per month. So we actually have recently gotten some roll carts to kind of help our drivers because it can be a lot of groceries that we take. But they assist them, and they'll help them bring it to their doors. So it really is a great service, and Fish does a great service as well in the community.
Right, right, and they just have a new building now too.
They do,
which is really nice.
Yes, right there in M24.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway. How do you get your funding? I mean, that's a huge issue these days with a lot of the government funding going south, if you will.
No kidding.
How do you fund an organization this large? I mean, you've got a number of buses, you've got people to on your payroll.
We do, and when I started back in 2001 when NOTA began,
right.
And we really had a lot of challenges up until recently with funding because up until the time we just had our millage, we just passed our second millage, and I want to thank all the Orion, Oxford, and Addison Township residents for supporting that millage because that's half of our budget now.
That's great.
And I just, now we're able to plan for our future where we really were never in that position until we had this millage. And prior to that, half of our funding came from grants that you didn't know if you're going to get the funding from year to year, and so it was very difficult. So our funding now, half of it is from our millage, which is a quarter mill, which I think is a very reasonable amount when you compare to transportation millages in other places.
Right.
The smart millage is 1 mill, so that's 4 times the amount of what we charge our residents, and I think it's a real good value. And so we have our millage. We also have our grants. We normally get about $400,000 a year. We've been really fortunate in getting that. And then we have government contributions from our communities, and Community Mental Health has been a partner with us for a number of years.
Really?
So,
So when you partner with Community Mental Health, does it mean that you pick up people and bring them to locations where they would normally either work or go to some kind of a school, special school?
Yes, it's actually Training and Treatment Innovations, which is TTI, and they do work training. So we pick up their clients and take them back and forth there in other places as well.
Now, how about your service area? I mean, we talked about 3 townships. Do you ever go outside of that service area at all, or do
we
you?
We do.
Do you really?
Yes. So our service area is a lot larger than just the 3 townships, which is unusual because most transportation companies just stay in the areas that they have their millage that they're collecting, in their service area. So again, you have to be a resident of Orion, Oxford, or Addison, but we go as far south as Square Lake Road. So that encompasses Beaumont, Troy. On the east side, we'll go over to Van Dyke, so that includes Utica, it includes Romeo. And then on the west side, we'll go to M15, Dixie Highway, and Telegraph. So that encompasses Brandon, part of Clarkston, Auburn Hills, Pontiac, Rochester. So those
that's
are
a large service area.
It is. Now, we only do that Monday through Friday. Because Monday through Friday, we operate from 6 in the morning until 9 p.m. And we have 16 routes out there during the weekdays. So those are the times that we'll go outside of those 3 townships. But on the weekends, we only have 2 routes, and that's limited service just to the 3 townships. So those
now, when you say a route, is this a route that you do every day on a specific route?
Our routes change. It's not a fixed route, so it's going to change daily, but a route will be a set time. So some of our routes start at 6 to 3, some are 7 to 4, 8 to 5, and we have different numbers for our routes.
But it doesn't mean that it goes down a specific street or anything like that.
No, and
it's more like an on-call. So if I let's say I broke my leg and I needed to get to the doctors, and my wife can't drive me to the doctors, I can call you up and say, I need to get to a doctor down in Pontiac. And you guys would take care of that.
We would. Now, in order to do that, you'd first have to register, and so that's an important part. Now, to register, you can register online on our website, which is www.ridenota.org. You can come into our office, or we can mail you an application. And it's a very simple application. It's usually just a 1-page application, but we do need to have a proof of residency to prove that you're a resident. And it's as simple as that. So once we get that information, we can get you into the system. and then you can make your call. And then you can call Monday through Friday when dispatch is there,
Right.
and tell them the times. We usually ask for 2 to 3 days ahead of time,
Yep.
so that you can have a better chance of getting the times you want.
Yeah, and you would pick up multiple people on that ride, I assume.
We do.
So
We do.
So you carpool as much as you can.
We try as much as we can.
Obviously, to save on expenses.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
doesn't always work. It just depends on timing. And we prioritize with our work and doctor's appointments. So dispatch puts those rides in first because
Right.
it's time sensitive.
Right.
And then we'll fill in with grocery shopping, going to the bank, some
Right, right.
rides that are maybe not as time sensitive.
Right.
And dispatch will fill those in and call ahead of time.
So you have people that use the service every day just to go back and forth to work.
We do.
Wow.
Quite a few. And those people then, once they use our system, they have a set spot. So it's their spot, and
Right.
they don't have to call every day to make sure we can take them. It's their spot unless they choose to change it.
Wow, that's a fabulous service.
It really is.
Now, how much do you charge for this service?
Wow, that's a good question. It's only $1 each way if you're traveling in Orion, Oxford, or Addison. And
Wow.
it's $2 each way if we're outside of those areas. So if you go down to
Okay.
Rochester, it's $2 each way. And when you compare that, there's a private transportation company in Oakland County. They charge $70 for up to 5 miles for a non-wheelchair ride, $130 for one way for up to 5 miles. And it just goes up from there. If you go up to 10 miles, it's $90 or $150, which is just, I don't even know how anyone could afford that. So it's a really great value.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you call up Uber, you can say, I'd like to go to Rochester, for example.
Yes.
It's going to cost probably $30
It will.
at least, right?
Right, and the wheelchairs are really what I think is most difficult to find rides for
Right.
people, and they're limited. And so at $1, $2 a ride, it's a great value.
Well, let's talk about your vehicles now. Are they all like for handicapped people? Do they all have ramps and those types of things, or do you just have certain ones that?
We have 21 vehicles, and 18 of them have wheelchair capacity.
Really?
So majority of
Wow.
them do.
That's fantastic.
Some are ramps, but majority are lifts.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of vehicle. And majority of our vehicles now are the Ford Transit Connect wagons. That's the
Yeah.
majority of them.
Right.
We also have some mini buses that are a little larger vehicles, and then we have an MV1, which is like a small SUV. It only takes 4 people, but or 3 in a wheelchair, but that one
Right.
has a large ramp. So, but it's good on the side roads. That one's a little bit better on the
Okay.
back roads that we have to deal with.
That's right. You have to deal with the dirt roads too, don't you?
We do, and that's very tough, especially because our vehicles are rear-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So if in icy conditions, it really can be a problem.
How about maintenance of these vehicles? Do you have your own garage? Do you do your own maintenance, or do you send these out to some other place to get them worked on?
Doug Noaker is our operations manager, and he's the one that oversees the maintenance, but we do not have facilities to maintain them ourselves, so we do send them into the area. So we support our local
Okay.
repair shops in the area.
So if you got something wrong with the vehicle, you'll call up Ford or some independent shop to get it worked on.
We do. Most of them are all local.
Yeah.
Unless we have to take them for, to a dealership, whatnot. But we usually try to give the service to the local service area.
Now you've been with them since what, 2002? That's a pretty long term there.
It has. Yeah. I started out as their CPA grant writer, and so I've just been the director. I think since it's been the last 7 years.
Well, grant writing can be quite a task.
It can be a challenge.
I know. I've worked on one, and that was enough.
Okay. It's a constant battle.
But when you're when so much of your revenue depends on these grants, it's got to be not only is it difficult to fill all these things out and make sure that they're correctly done, but the pressure to get the money has got to be there too, because if you don't get these grants, you can't operate.
That's right.
Or you have to reduce the size of your operation.
and that's how we pretty much existed until the millage came.
Right.
It was a constant adding routes, taking routes off, just based on
Right.
can we make payroll this week? I mean, it used to really be a struggle, and so
Right.
that's why I'm just so grateful to the residents for supporting this millage.
So how many people would use this service?
We gave almost 42,000 rides last year.
Did you really? Wow.
We did, and like 48% of them are seniors, 38% were disabled, and 14% were low income. So, and then if you look at the communities, 48% came from Orion, 47% from Oxford, and 5% from Addison Township.
Okay.
So Orion and Oxford pretty much about the
Right.
same, 5% from Addison.
Wow.
So, and it's growing. It's up 8% from last year, but up 23% from the year before.
Wow.
So almost a quarter more than we had 2 years ago. So we're daily getting new people in. We're actually thinking about adding an additional route. We're always checking to see how many people we aren't able to serve. We just want to make sure that number's as low as possible.
Right. Right. In terms of people, you said you use a lot of retired people for bus drivers. Is that
We
right?
do.
That's working out good for you?
It's wonderful. It really is, because it's just a group of people that just are happy to be working and helping people in their communities. I think they relate to them. They enjoy the work, and so it's just we have an amazing group.
Yeah, I know a couple of the guys.
Oh, do you?
They're great guys.
We're lucky that way.
Is there anything else that you really want to talk about while we're here? I mean, we've talked about the funding. We've talked about pretty much the vehicles that you have and the routes. Is there any other subject that you'd like to bring up regarding NOTA and its purpose in the community?
Absolutely. Well, there's been a few updates on the last year or so that it's always good to update everyone on.
Okay.
We now have cameras and GPS on all of our vehicles, which has been a really wonderful addition.
Yeah.
Not for safety, and it helps us in case there's any question of there's an issue on the bus, what happened, because there actually is audio as well. So you have a video of things that have actually happened, so you see it. Or if there was an accident, you can see exactly what happened. You can there's a camera that looks out the driver, so you can see what did the driver see. You could see the driver, you can see the passengers, you can see the lift. It's just
fantastic.
a wonderful safety measure.
Right.
So that's been great. We are also, our big news is that we're moving. We just are in the process of moving to Oxford. We're currently in Lake Orion right now,
Right.
but we've just purchased our own building. We're in the process of closing the next week, and we'll be moving probably this summer sometime. So
Where's that going to be located?
It's going to be at 675 South Glassby in Oxford,
Okay,
on the industrial area there.
Yeah,
And
right.
so we're really, really excited to have our own home. This will be our 6th move that we've made since I've started, since NOTA started, and
Really?
so it'd be nice to actually have our own place.
Now, where do you keep all the vehicles? Do they?
Yes, that's the really nice part about this building, is that it has industrial space that we'll be able to hopefully put majority of our vehicles inside.
Oh, that's
so
fantastic.
especially in the winter, and then we're going to rent off the back half, so that'll help with some operational costs.
Oh,
so I'm
fantastic, yeah.
hoping, I think that's going to be a really great move for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting, and just like to tell you, we just encourage our residents to sign up for the service. It's a good value. Not be afraid of trying it out. I know a lot of people are tentative because they're so used to being independent and taking care of themselves. It's hard to rely on others.
Right.
But I just encourage them to give it a try, or go with a friend. Like if you have a daughter or son or a friend that you want to come with, we say, we encourage people to have a companion rider
Right.
to start out, just so you can get used to the service and make sure that you feel comfortable with it. And I think very quickly people get very comfortable with it. But I know it can be kind of intimidating, and it's hard to give up your keys. And I know there's many times we have children of aging parents that are
Right.
like, we have to get rid of these keys, and we're not sure. And I know that that's a struggle on both sides. And so I just encourage people to give us a try. I think you'll be surprised at how easy the service is, and it's a lot less hassle. You don't have to deal with driving in the winter,
Right.
driving with traffic. I think that people end up finding out that it's really a great resource. And I'd just like to maybe share a few stories of our riders, if
Well,
you
that would
wouldn't
be
mind.
great.
What does NOTA and the services they offer, what does that mean to you?
That means life, everything. It means being independent, going places, and not impose on my family.
It means everything to me. It gives me independence. I have not been able to drive since 1991, and it's been probably 15 years at least now I've been using NOTA. It's opened up a whole new world to me.
I'm a college professor in Rochester, at Rochester College. I was a pilot shot down in Vietnam. I was blinded there. And I've found in the last 40 or 50 years, I can do just about anything except drive. So NOTA gives me the ability, whenever I need them, to take me to work occasionally, take me to appointments. I am truly grateful to NOTA.
What would it mean to you if you didn't have that? If you didn't have this service in your life?
I think I wouldn't survive that many years as I do, because I love to be with people.
So without the millage, I think it would mean, not only for me, but for many other people, it would mean a great disadvantage.
Tell us about some of the experiences that
Sure.
your riders are talking about.
Yes. Well, one of our lady passengers had a good job at Delphi, and
Oh.
she didn't even realize what the NOTA vans really did in the community. She's like, I used to see them around, but I really didn't know, what they did or what they were
Right.
about until she got into an accident. And she said if NOTA wasn't available, she would have lost her job, her car, and possibly her house, because
Wow.
NOTA took her to work, doctor's appointments, and therapy.
That's fantastic.
That's just one story. John Katona wrote a letter to the editor, and in that letter he stated that he had a great driving record, but one day he lost consciousness, and then he lost his driver's license for 6 months. And in the letter he stated, I understand that some people don't understand what NOTA does. To them, I make a couple of assertions. If we are fortunate enough, we will all be seniors at some time in the future. It is not likely that all of your family will live in close proximity to you. You can expect to be transportation challenged.
Right.
My traffic accident was a result of a loss of consciousness, which is a lot like a single heartbeat. So what's the difference between someone like me and everyone who has a current license? Know this, there is just a heartbeat of difference between me and you. Your life can change in a heartbeat just like mine did.
Wow.
I hope NOTA is there to help you as it has helped me. I thought that was really...
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And actually, John's wife is blind, and she's also a NOTA rider. And we take her to teach blind classes at the Rochester and Pontiac libraries.
Oh, wow.
And she said, Lynn, it's so nice to be independent and not have to rely on anyone to handle everyday tasks and to
Yes.
give me my independence. She said it's so appreciative to have NOTA for her and her husband.
That's fantastic
Yeah.
service.
And one final story is another senior lady who lives in Oxford tells her story that her husband used NOTA to get to dialysis appointments.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't work if it wasn't for NOTA taking her because they're so time consuming.
Right.
Her husband has passed on, but recently she had a stroke herself and recently needed NOTA to get to her doctor's appointments and shopping because she no longer could drive. She said, don't think this can't happen to you, because it can. You never know what the future will hold, and that you may be in that position to need transportation. So we're just hopeful that we'll be there for you. It's just to encourage people and just
Like
to
you
know.
say, it's a heartbeat away. You
It
know,
is.
I could drive out of here today,
Right.
get in an accident, be well. We got a good friend that just fell on the ice and broke his pelvis. I
It
mean,
happens.
how's he going to get around? He can't
Right.
drive,
No,
right?
no,
So there's a perfect opportunity to use NOTA.
it is.
So anyway, we want to thank you so much for coming in today.
Well, thank you
It's
for
been
having me.
fantastic.
Yes.
And I hope people that are listening today can pick up on some of this service that you offer, because it's a fantastic service.
Well, thank you. And again, just go to the website, which is ridenota.org, for more information.
Okay, and phone number?
248 693-7100.
Okay.
All right.
So we can call that number.
Call that number. We'll
And if
help
we
you.
have any problems, we can call you.
Call me directly.
Yeah,
Extension
right.
4.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much for attending today or coming today. And we hope to see you in the near future. And thank our viewers for watching Active Living.